Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So yes, we're 3 days away from the midterms, and this is going to be the final video that I make besides the final predictions before the midterms, before my stream on Tuesday. Make sure that you guys are there. We're going to be analyzing the results as they come in on election night, but Republicans still appear to be in good shape. We're probably not going to see a whole lot of more polls drop over the next few days. I'm sure we'll see a couple, maybe a couple push polls that will come in. I don't think they're really going to change what is about to happen too much. If anything, they're going to sway right because of the fact that Republicans have been doing better among undecided voters. And when you take the outlier poll out of the aggregate, which is somehow a registered voter poll that was conducted the week before the election, Republicans lead by around 4 percentage points in RCP. That would be more than enough to retake the House and the Senate and some governorships as well. And we're going to dive into the early vote a little bit more, give a final early vote update on this channel, a final polling update, just a kind of an overview all around. And then tomorrow I'll start dropping the final predictions for House and governorships, and then obviously the Senate will come last on Monday before the election. That will be the final prediction that we'll be making. But either way, we're going to dive into this. Make sure you guys sign up for redeaglepolitics.com if you have not yet already. It's just $5 a month. That's a coffee a month. That's 16 cents a day. You guys get all of my exclusive videos because not all the content that I make makes it out to YouTube. I dropped a video today, what to exactly watch on Tuesday. It's very insightful. Also, we have the Discord server. I dropped an article last night about the final stretch in the newsletter. You guys can get access to all of this and more. The link is in the pinned comment down below, but also the merchandise at shop.redeaglepolitics.com. You guys can buy the rep merch to celebrate the red wave. We've got t-shirts, we've got coffee mugs, sweatshirts, hoodies, tank tops, etc. It is all there. Make sure you guys check it out. The link is also in the pinned comment down below. So the polls look very good for Republicans. They are getting undecided voters on board. This is very true. As time goes on, they are galvanizing their base. The Democrats keep doubling down on things that nobody really cares about except that 45.1% that are already going to vote for them no matter what. It's allowed Republicans to do better in terms of their messaging down the stretch, in terms of their messaging on crime, inflation, the border, issues that people care about. Democrats are still stuck in January of 2021. They're trying to milk democracy as their main campaign issue, and it's backfiring because Republicans are talking about things that actually people care about. And this is true. And it's being reflected in not just the polls, but also the early vote. We know Democrats vote early. That's mainly what they do. Republicans vote mainly on election day. Obviously, there are going to be some Republicans that vote early, and there are going to be some Democrats who turn out on election day. But in terms of the preferred method, ever since 2020, Republicans have preferred to vote on election day, and we're anticipating hundreds of thousands of votes in Arizona on election day, a key swing state. Covered it in the last video, and Republicans so far are down just 23,000 votes to the Democrats there. There's a decent unaffiliated population. We don't exactly know which way those voters are going to go, although this year it's anticipated they're going to be going more Republican than the way that they did in 2020 if crosstabs of polls, or basically every poll is any sort of an indicator here. But still, 23,000 votes with a lot of votes to come on election day. Republicans are more than going to make that up easily. And this is true. They likely will. And as we look into the dynamics of some of these other states, Nevada, we've talked about quite a bit here. Republicans are down just 7,000 in the early vote. They're down 7,000. And if you look at it, Democrats have turned out just 217,000 voters. Keep in mind, last year they turned out over 500,000. Yes, more will vote on election day. However, it is very true that there is going to be a swamping on election day of Republican voters, and this is reflective in a lot of these recent polls for Senate. And we could look at the Senate polls, take Nevada, for example, and you are seeing Laxalt at or above 50% in 1 to 3 polls right there, including Emerson, which was the most accurate poll in the state the past few cycles, where other polls have really missed something there. But Laxalt is at or above 50 in 3 polls. The polls that Catherine Cortez Masto is able to muster a minor lead in, she is at or below 45%. The average of those 2 polls has her at 44%. Laxalt's breaking 50 in a lot more reputable polls. He is likely going to pull it off, and Lombardo will likely end up winning as well. But you look at Nevada, Democrats not hitting their target there. And we could also look at Pennsylvania, where percentage-wise it might seem as if Democrats are doing all right in the early vote, and they have a lead so far of about 500,000 actually in the early vote there, but turnout overall early is down. I mean, you look at the early vote in Pennsylvania, it's much less of a factor than it is in other states. Compare that to the final election total last year, where you look at it, there were 2.6 million early votes, but in terms of the votes overall in the state, that was, just over a third of the total electorate. And we're probably going to see it be less of a third of the electorate this time, and that's where a lot of Democrats are voting. Republicans in rural Pennsylvania, and yes, even a lot of these suburbs, are going to easily swamp the Democrats in Pennsylvania. They will give Dr. Oz a huge victory, and Oz also appears to be in good position. He's leading the polls. We can cover this. We've covered it ad nauseum, but he's still leading the polls. There are 2 outlier polls, and there are also some polls that have Oz up by 3 that are not in the aggregate, but he's likely going to win over John Fetterman, who has been stuck below 48 percentile cycle, and he's fallen, and that debate didn't help him. And Pennsylvania is a state where that debate mattered. A lot of people actually watched that debate, and there's less early voting compared to other states as a percentage of the electorate. This is a state that Oz is going to win. He is going to take the state of Pennsylvania here. We could look at other states as well. You're looking at the polls out of the state of Georgia. Herschel Walker in fairly good position there. In the state of Georgia, Warnock as an incumbent below 47%. It is a recurring theme in every single state, and this is very true. Arizona even, Mark Kelly, he's performing a little bit better than the other incumbents, but he's still below 50%. The polls vastly overestimated him in 2020. And you look at the undecideds, the way that the undecideds are breaking. Republicans have been galvanizing them. You talk about where the energy is. Typically in midterm years or even just presidential years where the energy is on one side, the polls typically underestimate that side. That is why some of these national generic ballot polls in 2018 were not that far off from the actual result. In fact, I believe the aggregate on RCP at least underestimated the Democrats by a little bit, but they had the energy factor. 2020, 2016, 2014, Republicans had the energy factor, and you look at the polls and they underestimated Republicans. And this is a recurring theme as well. And we're seeing this. Polls in the primary vastly missed, wide parts of the GOP electorate in places like, even Georgia, Arizona, Pennsylvania. And this is very true. Some of those polling errors may very well carry over into the general election. We'll have to see. But even if they don't, Republicans appear to be in very good shape as long as they can keep doing what they're doing, galvanize enough undecideds. And the early vote looks very good for them. Democrats are having this awful showing in the early vote. You talk about governorships, definitely Arizona, Nevada, Pennsylvania. Those all have governor's elections that are going to be very high profile. And there are some other states as well. You look at what's going on in Oregon, New Mexico, New York, some of those long shot states. I think Oregon, probably you could say that one is a little bit more R favorable. New Mexico is a little bit of a toss-up. New York, Zeldin has a huge energy advantage, but is it going to be enough to overcome the math and the geography of the state of New York? We'll really have to see. I'll release my final predictions for all of these races, Senate, House, and governorships, ahead of Election Day. And this is true. But you want to look at what's going on in the House. Even RCP has the floor for Republicans at a 14-seat gain. I think that is about a reasonable floor. I think they're going to gain more than that, especially if the national environment is going to end up being R plus 4 or so, and the average gain so far that's being predicted is GOP by 31.5. And I'll release my prediction tomorrow, but the fact is that that is about where you may end up seeing them. If you are going to see GOP plus 48, then we're talking about them nearing record numbers or shattering the record number of seats that the party's ever had in the House, which was set after the 2014 election. And it's possible. The fact that that's on the table when a couple of months ago, Democrats were saying, oh, we have a better chance at keeping the House than you guys have at retaking the Senate. These people have been gaslighting you guys, and finally, I think that a lot of people have woken up to that. I knew at the time these people were lying, they are being naive, and a lot of Republicans that feed into that narrative are dooming, and there was a wave of dooming, late August all the way through mid-September, but now it appears like Republicans are favored, and they're also back, and they're likely to win. The real question is going to be, what happens when they win? Are they actually going to use their power for good, or are they actually just going to squander it away and quote-unquote work with the Democrats to pass through all of their legislation, or a watered-down version of their legislation to appear to look like the nice bipartisan people, even though they're also just destroying this country, maybe helping them destroy the country at just a little bit of a slower rate, but hopefully we can revamp the leadership. But either way, that's kind of besides the point. Vote red up and down the ticket. Do your part, get out and vote, and then we will go from there. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.